Welcome back. You're watching WION. I'm Jessica Tanej. Anna, stay with us. We take you around the world in 30 minutes. All the news and other updates from around the world now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday launched a $2.5 billion project to electrify all of the country's households by the end of 2018. The states will need to complete the electrification by December 2018, and the government will identify those eligible for free electricity connections across the country. Prime Minister Modi said the government would not charge any fee for electricity connection in households of poor citizens. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said that India is planning measures to revive economic growth. This after meeting of his party in New Delhi on Monday, Jaitley blamed low investment by the private sector and the rollout of the goods and services tax for low growth figures. Sharjah Emirate, Sheikh Sultan bin Mohammed Al Qasimi on Monday met Kerala Chief Minister P. Vijayan in Thiruvananthapuram. The ruler is on a 5-day visit to the southern province. Al Qasimi is in India to strengthen relations between the Emirate of Sharjah and Kerala. A historic Gobindgarh Fort, in Amritsar, has now become one of the major attraction sites for tourists since it reopened in April this year. Hundreds of tourists thronged the fort on a regular basis to know about the historic culture of the city and the rulers of the ancient times. Devotees on Monday turn up on roads to witness the start of Ram Bharat, or the marriage procession of Lord Ram in Bhopal. The procession began after evening prayers and crossed through various parts of the city, attracting attention of people on the way. The history of Ram Bharat is said to be around 125 years old. A huge marquee inspired by the Thai White Temple in Kolkata is drawing huge crowds ahead of the festival of Durga Puja. The marquee has been constructed in the city's Deshapriya Park, which is known for the themes it chooses during the festival every year. Devotees and other visitors were left in awe of the grandeur of the marquee. U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis said that the detonation of the hydrogen bomb over the Pacific Ocean would be a shocking display of irresponsibility. He made the remarks while en route to India, the first member of the Trump administration to meet with his Indian counterpart here. Iraqi Kurds voted in a controversial independence referendum on Monday morning, ignoring pressure from Baghdad, threats from Turkey and Iran, international warnings that the vote may ignite more regional conflict. Now, Kurds voted in large numbers with turnout at 78% as hour before voting closed on Monday. Results will be announced in 2 days. Kurds in northern Iraqi city of Erbil took to the streets on Monday to celebrate the end of voting in independence referendum. The vote, organised by Kurdish authorities, is also expected to deliver a comfortable yes for independence, but it is not binding. Myanmar authorities uncovered 17 more bodies from the 2 mass graves in northern Rakhine state, and this has raised the number of total bodies recovered from the area to 45 now. Ousted Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is set to appear before the Accountability Court today to defend himself in the 3 corruption cases. Sharif is facing corruption and money laundering charges in the Panama Papers scandal. Sharif will return in fact to Pakistan on Monday, and this after spending weeks in London with his ailing wife. Global accounting firm Deloitte became the victim of cyber attack on Monday. This affected the data of a small number of its clients. Deloitte said in a statement that attackers accessed data from the company's email platform. And reports suggest that the attackers appeared to target the firm's US operations. Republicans' latest bid to roll back the Affordable Care Act appeared to collapse on Monday as the third GOP Senator Susan Collins came out against this measure. Collins voted against the repeal bill, and Collins' announcement followed release of a preliminary analysis from the Congressional Budget Office of the Senate GOP plan. Shouting protests delayed the opening of healthcare hearings on Capitol Hill on Monday. U.S. senators made a last-ditch effort to secure support for the latest Republican attempt to repeal former President Barack Obama's signature healthcare law. U.S. President Donald Trump pushed for more STEM education in schools as he signed a presidential memorandum directing the Education Department to invest at least $200 million in granting funds towards this initiative. He said that science, technology, engineering and math, as well as computer science education, would prepare students for modern workforce. Qatar's foreign minister said that U.S. President Donald Trump was stepping up efforts for a diplomatic solution in the crisis in the Gulf. And Trump initially took a hard line against Qatar, calling it high-level sponsor terrorism after Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain and Egypt shook the region by cutting political and trade ties with the small state in June. Lebanese President Michel Aoun was kicked off a three-day visit to France on Monday. This as the arming of the Hezbollah forces in Syrian conflict raised concern in the context of Iran's growing pressure in the region. He was scheduled to hold talks with Macron and later will be the guest of honor of the state dinner at the Elysee Palace with some 200 guests there. France's parliament began debating on the proposed anti-terrorism law on Monday, which would replace emergency services in the countries. Presenting the proposal, French Interior Minister told lawmakers the threat in France remains high and that 20 attacks have been prepared in the country since the start of 2017. Several right-wing lawmakers from the Conservative Republican Party say the proposal does not go far enough. And motorists in Paris were divided over the blockades of several fuel depots which carried out by French trade unionists. Now, this in protest against the overhaul of employment laws, seeking to test the government will to reform the economy. Eurogroup chairman said that Greece was on its way to exit the bailout program in Athens on Monday. He further said that there will be no further conditions or restrictions after it ends apart from the post-program standard surveillance. Council on the American Islamic Relations condemned the latest travel ban and promised to fight in court as an illegal, constitutional and an American ban against Muslims. President Donald Trump's announcement on Sunday restricting travelers from an expanded list of countries has already been roundly criticized by immigrant and civil rights groups. Venezuelan Foreign Minister lashed out at U.S. President Donald Trump in his United Nations General Assembly speech on Monday. He said that Venezuela's people have been directly threatened by the President of the United States. He further added that this is a gesture of political hypocrisy and brazenness. Germany's Green Party said that on one of the conditions for participating in any future coalition government will be ensuring Europe's biggest economies fulfill its obligations as part of the Paris Climate Accord. Germany's Angela Merkel began the tough task of trying to build a government on Monday. This after securing fourth term as Chancellor and urging the centre-left Social Democrats not to shut the door on a rerun of the Grand Coalition. The parliamentary arithmetic favours a Jamaica coalition of the Conservatives and the pro-business Free Democrats and the Greens, therefore named because of the party colours reflect the Jamaican flag. Israel on Monday welcomed German Chancellor Angela Merkel's election win, which raised concerns over the surging of the anti-immigration alternative for Germany, which became the first far-right party to enter German parliament in more than half a century. Videos uploaded on social media on Monday claim to show the aftermath of airstrikes carried out in Syria's Idlib province. Turkey's foreign minister said that recent Russian bombings in the area had killed civilians and moderate rebels. The bombing campaign in heavily populated civilian areas has shattered 6 months of relative calm and calm. The Palestinian Unity government said that it will not meet in Gaza next week. This to begin taking control of the enclave from Hamas, in an effort to end the decade of bitter rivalry between the Islamist groups and President Mahmoud Abbas. Doctors protested at the local office of the World Health Organization on Monday in white robes, chanting, "We can't find medicines," they said, and also demanded a stronger stance from the agency towards South American countries' deep medical crises. Venezuelans are suffering from a roughly 85% shortage of medicines and decrepit hospital infrastructure as well, and an exodus of doctors now. British Prime Minister Philip Hammond said that on Monday he was fully behind Prime Minister Theresa May, and this following a media report that he had previously offered to support a potential leadership challenge by Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson. Britain's chief Brexit negotiator on Monday said that London would honour the financial commitments it made during its membership of the European Union. This after it leaves the European Union, but warned the deal would have to be linked to an agreement on future economic ties. He said Britain would have to abide by all EU rules during the 2-year transition period it is asking for after it leaves the European Union in 2019. Chinese President Xi Jinping held a telephonic conversation on Monday with British Prime Minister Theresa May on bilateral ties and the situation on the Korean Peninsula. In the phone conversation, Xi recalled that him and Theresa May would agree to deepen the 21st century-oriented China-Britain Global Comprehensive Strategic Partnership and continue building the golden era of their bilateral relationship. Anthony Weiner was sentenced to 21 months in prison on Monday. This for sending sexually explicit messages to a 15-year-old girl, setting off a scandal that played a role in the 2016 US presidential elections. Weiner pleaded guilty in May to transfer the obscene messages to a minor and agreed that he would not appeal any sentence of 27 months or less. The Argentine President Marquis's main defender against the comeback by his populist predecessor Cristina Fernandez in October's legislative elections, is someone whose name is not even on the ballot. Buenos Aires Governor Maria Eugenia Vidal has been handed the role of ensuring Macri's Let's Change coalition party. A recent poll shows that Vidal is more popular than Macri and holds a key in keeping Fernandez at bay in Buenos Aires. Even as Mexico City schools remain closed on Monday after last week's deadly earthquake, children outside the capital returned to their classrooms even though aftershocks are still jolting the country. A group of international celebrities are using their social media accounts to ask for donations to rebuild Mexican cities, which have been severely damaged by last week's 7.1 earthquake. And this earthquake killed at least 325 people and left thousands homeless, with many of them living in tents and streets for emergency housing. The United States Olympic Committee pushes ahead with preparations for its Winter Games in South Korea next year as not a single American athlete has expressed security concern about next year's Winter Games. The games scheduled for February 9th to 25th will take place in the world's most heavily armed border between North and South Korea. Myanmar's ambassador to the United Nations on Monday rejected the use of atrocities of ethnic cleansing and genocide to characterize the situation in Rakhine State. The ambassador said leaders of Myanmar, who have long been striving for freedom and human rights, would not espouse such policies. The Bangladesh Health Ministry, in partnership with UNICEF, the MSF and ACF, are running a vaccination campaign against measles, rubella, polio among the Rohingya refugees. The campaign was launched more than a week ago and has already reached at least 70,000 children. Police chiefs of Spain's different policing units met in the office of Spanish government delegation in Barcelona on Monday. This to discuss the measures to halt the banned October 1st referendum of independence in Catalonia. The government in Madrid is facing one of its biggest political crises since the end of Franco dictatorship. It has called the referendum an illegal act and taken the police and court back in action to block it. The strongest storm to hit Puerto Rico in decades has left hospitals flooded, strewn with rubble and dependent on diesel generators to keep the neediest patients alive. The precarious shape of Ireland's medical facilities is aiding to the misery and devastation of U.S. territory. Officials expect the situation of Puerto Rico hospitals could worsen before it improves. Hundreds of stranded tourists at Puerto Rican's ports have sought to leave the sweltering hots of San Juan International Airport on Monday. And they were anxious for a seat on one of the few flights operating after Hurricane Maria devastated power and communications across the island. Researchers have witnessed a vast improvement in the ecological environment surrounding Nansha city in southern China's Hainan province. This after a year of extensive coral restoration work. Canada's Lucara Diamond Corporation sells world's largest uncut diamonds for $53 million. The 1,109 carat stone was brought by high-profile British diamond dealer Graf Diamonds and will now be cut and polished. The price paid was an improvement on the highest bid received for the diamond at the Sotheby's auction in June 2016. The InnoTech Expo 2017 opened in Hong Kong on Sunday, displaying up to 130 exhibits featuring advanced technologies from both ancient and modern China. The expo follows the tracks of significant scientific and technological achievements, giving a full flag display of the wisdom and innovative spirit of the Chinese nation. Dubai on Monday showcased a fight for what it said would be the world, but in fact would be the world's first drone taxi service. This under an ambitious plan by the UAE to lead the Arab world in innovation. A flying taxi developed by German drone firm, in fact, called the Volocopter, resembles a small two-seater helicopter cabin topped by a wide hoop studded with 18 propellers. It is meant to run without remote control guidance and comes with plenty of backup batteries, rotors and parachutes. To the world of entertainment, singers Justin Timberlake, Pharrell Williams and Stevie Wonder were among the artists who lent their names to a concert for Charlottesville on Sunday. The event was live-streamed around the world and was in response to the violence in August in the city. between white supremacists and anti-racist protesters. The event was held at the University of Virginia. Some of the biggest names in pop music turned out in Las Vegas for the iHeartRadio Music Festival on Friday and Saturday as well. Stars including Miley Cyrus, Kesha and The Weeknd attended the two-day festival. Britain's Prince Harry and his girlfriend Meghan Markle made their first formal public appearance together on Monday. The couple held hands while watching a wheelchair tennis match at the Invictus Games in Toronto. Markle, an American actress, has been dating Prince Harry for more than a year now. US President Donald Trump on Monday said his comments about national anthem protests have nothing to do with race, and Trump's defense comes after several sports players and teams across the country demonstrated during the US national anthem over the weekend. And this after the American president sparked furore by saying that players who fail to stand during the anthem should be fired. Basketball player LeBron James lashed out against US President Donald Trump over his verbal battle with National Football League over players who dropped to one knee during the national anthem. Dozens of NFL players, coaches, and even some owners joined in silent protest at the games on Sunday against Trump's call for owners to fire players who do not stand during the Star-Spangled Banner.